Hey, and welcome back to Self Publishing Made Easy. This is my opportunity to share everything I've learned over the past couple of years, trial and error, research, reading, watching videos, and just figuring it out on my own. So I'm putting all those together in a group of lessons, videos, whatever you want to call them, to try to help you and others self publish without having to go through all of the research and time and effort that I went through. So hopefully these are helpful to you. Best thing you can do to help spread the word is to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share with your friends. You can also support me at some of the links below in the description. I really appreciate it. Today we are talking about essentially the different avenues of publishing, the different sites you can use, the ones that I use and why, and talk a little bit about the pros and cons of all of those different sites and how to make it happen to maximize your exposure and expand the distribution of your book. So let's dive into it. All right, so the first thing we want to remember is that actually publishing your book is free. So in previous videos, I've talked about the costs associated with editing, book cover creation, layout, all of the other things you can pay for, but the actual publish, the hitting the publish button and sending it out to the world is absolutely free. So if you are paying someone to help you with all of the other stuff, remember, it doesn't, if they try to tell you that it costs money to publish and that you need to pay them to publish, that is false. They may charge a fee for the time and work it takes for them to do it for you, but the actual publishing is free and you can do it yourself. I've shown you some of those sites as I've talked about other topics, but we're going to dive into them a little bit more today. These are three of the major distribution publishing sites. Draft to Digital, I talk about a lot. Why do I use them? One, they're easy to use, but two, because they push your book out, they distribute it out to all of these other digital storefronts. You can go to Amazon and Apple and Barnes & Noble and Kobo and Everand and Smashwords. You can go to all of those individually and create an account and publish your book individually in every single one and set up your payments for royalties and all that. Or you can do it in one spot and Draft to Digital handles it for you. Now, they pay you a royalty because they take a cut of every sale, and you can look at the percentages and all that. But in my opinion, it's worth saving the time of going to every individual site. And they're adding new sites all the time. They handle distributing it out to the sites that library uses, like Overdrive and Hoopla. So you can get your book pretty much everywhere on Draft to Digital. They also have a print option there. It's a print on demand option, but they also push it through the same catalog that Ingram Spark, or the Ingram Spark catalog, which allows your books to be ordered by your paperbacks and hardbacks to be ordered by libraries or bookstores. That can all happen through Draft to Digital. Now, Ingram Spark follows a more traditional, it's been around for a long time, and it was designed and used by traditional publishers and bookstores and the traditional sales and just the industry method of getting books out there. So it still has some remnants. In fact, Ingram Spark only recently became free to publish. They were still charging as of last year, and they finally dropped that charge in order to compete with Kindle and Draft to Digital. So I'm going to show you the difference there and how that basically the old business practices of publishing are still lingering in Ingram Spark and why. And then obviously there's Amazon or Kindle Direct Publishing. I've talked about KDP a lot. That is Amazon. Amazon is the largest bookstore, digital bookstore in the entire world. There's no denying that. If you want your book to be seen, you pretty much have to have it on Amazon. Whether you have a problem, a personal issue with Amazon or not, it is the biggest store in the world. So you can make that decision whether you want it there. But more people are looking for books there than anywhere else on a daily basis. So let's dive into these a little bit more. All right, let's jump into Ingram Spark. The basic information that you need for all three services is pretty much the same. You need your keywords for searches, you need your genres or categories, you need your ISBN, you need Ingram Spark does not, as far as I know, provide a free ISBN. You can purchase one through them or bring your own. Okay, so I do have a few books in Ingram Spark, but the only reason that I use them is because they are the only one that had the trim size for this children's book that I wanted in landscape view. So I had to go with Ingram Spark. So it seems to take a little bit longer to fill out their information. There's more there. And let me show you what I'm talking about the traditional, the old style of basically the business. So traditionally, you have these big publishers and then you have the bookstores. And in order to get the bookstores to carry your book, they didn't want to assume the risk of buying a product that they didn't know if they were going to be able to sell. So the publishers agreed to take on a part of that risk. So if a bookstore buys 10 copies of a book through the Ingram Spark catalog, they get them, they put them on the shelf, and then after 30 days or whatever, there's new books that they need to change out on the shelf. And if they haven't sold those 10 books and they just didn't generate any interest or sales, they can return those books and the publisher pays them back or covers a part of that loss or that cost. So you're essentially selling it to the bookstore at a discount so that they'll take the risk in the first place because they don't have to pay full price. And then you are refunding them if they can't sell them. And you can opt to either let them trash the book, throw it away, or force them to mail it back to you so then you have that book copy and you as the publisher or the author can sell it. So they still follow that pattern or those business practices, which is great for a big publisher who's able to take those gambles and those risks because they have a huge selection of books spread out, over their entire catalog. But it's very difficult for an individual author you get these royalty payments. You're like, great, I made some money, but you can't actually use that money for months because one day that bookstore may return your books and suddenly that money is taken out of your account. It's charged back to the card. And so if you're not careful, if you don't keep a padding there, you could suddenly be in the red. Like if you're looking at these really small margins that a lot of indie authors are working with, especially as they get started, you have to beware that you think it's great that this bookstore bought your book and yay, I made sales, but 3 months from now they could take that money back from you and you just get charged it with no notice and you have no say in it whatsoever. So personally, I think that model works for the big publishers and the bookstores, great, whatever, but I don't think it works very well for indie authors. And frankly, I think for Ingram Spark to really survive in the indie world, which is the largest growing market of authors, they're going to have to figure something else out because indie authors can't take that risk. So that's the reason I don't use Ingram Spark otherwise. All right, so I've also had some issues. So basically, they'll push it out. So these books are on Amazon because Ingram Spark pushes them out to Amazon. And I've had some issues with like covers not populating properly and stuff like that. So it hasn't been the best experience. So I don't use them unless I have to. Okay, so Draft to Digital. We've already gone into this page before. Basically, I'm publishing a book here. I'm not ready because the editing process isn't complete, but I can go through the entire process up till when I hit go or hit publish. All right, so we got our blurb from yesterday that we worked on. So if you look at the previous video, and basically you're uploading your manuscript, you're filling out the details, you put in your cover, your genres or subjects, your publisher, your author, your blurb, all that stuff. You can say whether it's a book bundle. You can get the free ISBN from Draft2Digital. Again, we talked about ISBNs in a different video, so I'm not going to go over that now. You're just filling things out. All right, so if you're using the Draft2Digital layout, again, like I've showed you in a previous video, let's just go with that for now. I'm going to change that later. I will do my layout in Atticus. All right, so now we can look at our book. So our title page, which I told it to have, I've got my copyright page, table of contents, which for an ebook you want, a paperback, fiction you don't, nonfiction yes. And then you want to go through your entire book here. This doesn't let you just skip to the end. Well, actually, maybe it does. There we go. So let's go to the last chapter. That's the About the Author page that I've already basically saved in Draft2Digital. And so when I click that checkbox, it adds it. About the Publisher page. All right, so that's my book in Draft2Digital. So now to get to the next step, I'm approving it, which I don't want to do yet for this book. So let's go back to one that I've already approved. You get to pick the price, and then it tells you what you're going to make based on that price. So let's go. This is the latest one that I published. Ebook. All right. So, all right, this is the important thing that we haven't seen before. You set the price. Ebooks, as you may know, are generally fairly cheap. You can play with it. You can do sales. You can start at 99 cents. You can go to $2.99. Some people go expensive. That's up to you. You set your price. And then it tells you what your royalty will be when it's sold in all of these digital stores that Draft2Digital distributes to. Now, if you are going to submit on Amazon KDP as well, you want to make sure this box is not clicked because you are submitting it separately. You don't want two versions of your ebook on Amazon. Do you want it available in a subscription service like Everand? Kobo Plus, what countries do you want it available in? Do you want it available in libraries? And then libraries, you price it differently for a library. They pay more up front because then you're getting paid less per user. So one copy, one user, cost per checkout, right? So these are all the different library apps. You choose these, hit apply changes, and then it'll ask you, do you own this content? Do you have the copyright or permission, or is this in the public domain? And do you approve of the digital proof? And you click yes, and you click publish, and boom, ready to go. You can also you can pre-publish, so you can get it all in there, set a date in the future, and it will push it out to those stores as a pre-release, and people can actually order your book before it drops, and then they get the book availability on the day it's released. So that way you can build through your marketing and social media, you can build a lot of following so that on release day, you have a ton of sales because of all of these pre-release purchases, which is good for your rankings. Okay, so let's set one up in Amazon KDP. Okay, so here we are in our KDP. We just clicked create to create a Kindle book, and we're going to kind of walk through the steps. Your book title, a subtitle if you want, which helps with searches. Is it part of a series? If it is, you can add the series, or if you already have the series created, just connect it to the series. This is edition 1. Author, I already got that. You can add your editor if you want to. I do because we collaborate on all of my books. My description is and again, remember I talked about how you can bold because those show up basically above the line that they can see. They'll probably only see till about here on the web page unless they want to do more. I own the copyright. No sexually explicit images or language. Reading age, optional. You don't have to put this. This is more helpful if you are doing for younger, high school, young adults, middle grade, or children. Primary marketplace for me is Amazon.com. You have other choices of, UK, Germany, etc. All right, now categories. This is where we did that genre category search in Rocket Publisher. And then you come in here and choose those. All right, domestic. So we're going to go with that one for now. And then the keywords that you chose, again, through Publisher Rocket, not Rocket Publisher, Publisher Rocket, put your keywords in there, and you have up to 7. Oh, available for pre-order. Don't even have a date yet, so I'm going to put it way in the future. All right, so save and continue. Like, I still need to put in those keywords there, but that's where you do it. Next page is uploading your manuscript. Okay, for your manuscript, you need an EPUB file for your ebook. So where do you get an EPUB file, right? You wrote it in Microsoft Word or Google Docs or whatever. Well, in Draft2Digital, if you go back to your book, it allows you to download that layout, that book, and you can download an EPUB file. You just download it, and that's the file you use for KDP. For your paperback book, you can download a PDF based on the trim size you choose. I'll show you that in a minute, but say I choose 5.5 by 8.5, so I can select that, and it'll download the PDF in that trim size, so it's already formatted and ready to go. So very easy there. Take it over and just upload it here. Download it, upload it here. Right now I'm going to say I'll upload it later. Your cover. So you can use, they have a cover creator. Don't use it. I'm not even going to tell you to choose. I'm going to say don't use it. It looks bad, and you can tell. Everyone knows if you used their cover creator, and they will just walk past your book, no matter how interesting the title is or the blurb is, because they know you didn't take the time to actually create a decent cover. All right, so let's upload our cover here. And then I talked to you about AI. It asks you that question, and no, see, it doesn't include your blurb there. And then once you have that manuscript, you can launch your previewer, and it'll show you if that PDF worked and your cover, and go through the entire book. Make sure all of your chapter headings are correct. All of your formatting is correct here, because this is what it's going to look like with your final file. You need to remember that. And it's even more important when you are doing a paperback book, because you want to make sure that the cover that you chose fits within their printing parameters, and it'll show you a grid of where the printing will be, and you'll see if your cover is going to fit. Again, Kindle ebooks are not required to have an ISBN, but I pulled one anyway for Drafted Digital, so I'm going to use it. Put down who you want listed as your publisher. So right now I'm basically just doing a placeholder for this book because I didn't upload the manuscript or anything. All right, so now this is where you get into pricing. KDP Select enrollment. We're going to talk about that in another video. If you've already put it in Drafted Digital, so this is the easy answer. If you put it in Drafted Digital, then you do not click this. Okay? All territories. Do you want it available everywhere that Amazon sells books? Your primary marketplace is here. And now this is where you pick your royalty plan and your price. Keep it consistent. This will show you what it will cost in different currencies and what your royalty will be in those currencies. You can decide whether you want the 35 or the 70. So let's talk a little bit about why you may want the 35% option instead of the 70, because first you think more money is great. So there are some rules with the 70. First, you have to list it between $99 or $2.99 and $9.99. So if you want your book cheaper, you can't have the 70%. You have to go with the 35%. Second, when you have the 70% royalty, there's a delivery fee per megabyte of your file. It's not huge, but that cuts into your royalty a little bit. That's why your percentage is higher. There are certain countries where you won't get the 70%. You'll still only get 30%. There are certain countries that if you want it in those countries, you have to be enrolled in KDP Select, which again, if you are already distributing wide through Drafted Digital, you can't do. You can still do it. You just won't get the 70% in those countries. You will also allow buyers of your book to lend it. So Kindle has a lending program where someone can buy your book and then lend it to a friend for 2 weeks or something like that, which I think is a good thing because it gives more exposure. Yes, you're not making money off of the friend, but if they like your book, they're more likely to come back and buy that book or other books that you have written. And it can't be in the public domain. So you can't take a Shakespeare or some book from the 18th century and get 70% royalty. So that's the difference. There are just some limitations you have to worry about when you pick 70%. And then finally, you submit for pre-order, and they do a review and tell you if there's any issues with what you did. They'll tell you what those are. You want to try to get it right. Trying to go back and forth with KDP help is not fun. They aren't super responsive, and it's hard to get a person. So follow their rules. You're great. So that's the process of publishing in KDP. So I'm going to just save it as a draft there. All right, so those are the 3 that I've used, the 3 that I recommend. Again, you could go individually out to everyone, but why? I will do another video on the choice between KDP Select and KU and going wide, expanded distribution, and all of that in another video. That's a topic for another day. So now, once you publish this book, you can create a paperback. And it basically allows you to, it just migrates all of that information that you typed in for the ebook over to your paper book. You do need a new ISBN for a paperback, and you can get one free from them or bring your own. And you need the cover. So this is not going to tell me what size cover I need because I haven't uploaded a manuscript yet. and your cover size is dependent upon your trim and the number of pages in your book. Let me just show you this difference when you are publishing the paperback. When you get into this content page, there are some different options. Again, get a free ISBN or use your own. But now you have to pick print options. What kind of paper do you want? I picked white paper before I had really done good research. Generally, fiction novels are cream paper, which is the first option. So you'd pick that. Once you pick it, you're stuck. And then you pick your trim size. And again, once you pick it, you're stuck. So be sure, maybe look at other books in your genre and what trim size they are. 5.5 by 8.5 is a pretty standard trim size, so that's what I went with. No bleed, it's just what it already is. And then paperback cover, matte or glossy. Matte is the standard. So those are the print options that you get to choose in KDP. And upload your PDF and then your book cover. You can see this book cover has a front or back. You can also say, yes, my book cover already has a barcode on it, and I showed you some barcode generators, whether through Canva or Publisher Rocket, or they'll do one for you. Now, I keep talking about this cover calculator so you know the size. Here is that. This is the site up here. Basically, paperback, standard, the type, paper matters, left to right, right to left, inches, trim size, 5.5 by 8.5, page count, so let's say 265 pages, calculate dimensions, and then it allows you to download a template. And then you can take that template, upload it into Canva and put it on top of your image, and then make it more transparent so you can see the image underneath it, and you'll be able to see your spine. You'll be able to see your spine, your back cover, your front cover, all within that template. So that's pretty nice. The other thing is it shows your full cover is 11.847 by 8.75. So in Canva, when you resize the document, you put in that custom size, that exact size, and you know it's the size they're looking for. So I clicked on Launch Previewer, and you'll see here it shows you your print lines and your cut lines. So you have to be with everything within those red lines. And if it's outside of those, then you need to go back into Canva and fix it, or whoever's doing your design, whatever program they're using. But it's easy to see there. So that's probably the biggest pain here, is if you get your size in the calculator, you do it, and maybe your spine lettering is touching the red. So you have to go into Canva, adjust it, and then you re-upload it, and you do the previewer again, but you keep doing the previewer until it looks right. And once it looks right, you click approve. Paperback, you're allowed to go through the whole paperback again to look and make sure nothing's outside the margins. It will do a check for you and let you know if there's anything you really need to look at, but I recommend you actually look through every page. So that's kind of the extra things you have to do with the paperback. So Draft2Digital does the same thing. You can start a print book. They are a little more helpful or a little more forgiving on cover size. They'll modify the size of your file to fit their formatting. But same thing there. And then in Draft2Digital, you can start an audiobook as well, which we'll talk about in future videos. So there we go. All right, so I know that one went a little long and wasn't super exciting, but I thought it was important to just show you the steps that you need to take to publish, so that it's not a secret or it's not a surprise when you actually go in to publish your own book. It's not difficult to do. It's free, but there are decisions that you need to make. Like I said, I use Draft2Digital and Amazon KDP. Those are the two that I use, and I explained why there. But there are other choices out there, and there are choices that you have to make based on your pricing and everything else. So stay tuned for future videos where I talk about other topics that I mentioned as we went through this. I hope that was helpful. Leave me any questions in the comments. I do my best to respond to every question. And please subscribe, hit the notification bell, share with your friends, and if you would like to support these videos, there are some links below where you can get some merch about supporting indie authors, kind of funny book nerd type t-shirts and other merch. Check those out. I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time on Self-Publishing Made Easy.